So paper 2, question 5 is your creative writing question. It's 40 marks, that's half of your total of course, it's 50% of your paper. So you must make sure your timing is accurate. You don't want to be rushing this section. Okay, you want to make sure that you can get here with an adequate amount of time left. And as it says on the paper, you're advised to spend about 45 minutes on this section. Give it time, plan your response, and make sure you hit both the assessment objectives here. And we'll talk about those as we go. You are reminded to plan your answer. You should write in full sentences, and you should leave enough time to proofread and check your work at the end. So we look at the question 5 question here. Snow seems like it is picturesque, exciting and fun, but in reality it causes accidents, inconvenience and economic disruption. Write an article for a broadsheet newspaper in which you explain your point of view on the issue. The question will always be on some form of persuasive writing here, where you have to argue for or against a concern. The question itself will be linked, of course, to your reading section. They will give you two sides to an argument, and you pick one and you argue for or against it. So really you do have your opinion in this piece. It is about you, but you've got to make sure you link it to the question itself. You might be writing an article. You might also be writing a speech, a leaflet, possibly a letter or an essay. So you must make sure you know the genre conventions for writing in different ways. The audience will be in there as well, who you are writing for, so make sure you give your audience plenty of interesting and engaging points to make. Break down the question, make sure that you are looking at what the question is requiring for you for the genre, which is that letter, article, speech, leaflet or essay, the audience, who you are writing for, the purpose, to explain, persuade, argue or inform information, and the subject matter itself. Come up with some key points to discuss and make sure that it's compelling and convincing for your audience. This is 24 marks, this is your content mark. Then we must move over to your language mark. This is 16. Your spelling, punctuation, grammar and cohesion. Make sure that you focus on an effective opening and ending to your piece. If it's an article, for instance, use a headline and a subheading. If it's a letter, put "Dear Sir, Madam" and "Yours sincerely" at the bottom. Structure your work accordingly. Use persuasive writing techniques, such as "a forest" or "fat horse." Complex spellings, try to make sure that you vary your spellings and have some of the spellings that are a little bit more complex than just everyday words. Possibly use the inserts themselves to help you along the way with this. Make sure that you have paragraphing, that's a very clear point, and that your paragraphs link. And vary your sentences, some shorter, some longer. Vary the tone and the length of your sentences for pacing as well. And also vary your punctuation. Don't just use full stops, use commas, apostrophes, speech marks, exclamation marks and question marks. Show a range to the examiner of what you can do and what you can achieve with the question. Plan your response before you write it so that it's clear and engaging, it's well written in response with a good variety of English language skills. So the important thing with your creative writing then is to think about the fact that your mark is split into half for your 40 marks here. You have 24 marks for your content and organisation and 16 marks for your technical accuracy, that's your English language. So you need a good idea and you need to tell it well. And think about both half of those marks. So you're not just writing and making it up as you go along. You've got a good plan with some good ideas, a good structure with a variety of English language skills, a compelling and convincing argument. That is the goal for the top marks here. If we take some examples from the text in front of us here from the exemplar, to a certain extent I agree with the statement for several reasons. Snow does look exciting and fun, especially for younger children, and it's mainly a hazard and dangerous for them too. For example, many young children like to play in the snow. It causes accidents for them when they slip and bang their head on the floor. However, it is not just young children, but older adults such as the elderly too. For example, the elderly struggle to walk anyways on a daily basis, and on the argument goes. What we have here is the mark being split into two with some range of connected ideas that are on task with accurate use of discourse markers, so however, for example, therefore, that keep the arguments and the ideas linked and closely related to each other. That would be a part of your 24 marks, your content and organisation mark. If we have a look at the blue there, we have genuinely accurate spelling, especially for younger children, but it's mainly a hazard and dangerous for them too. The marks for this spelling there are under the 16 marks for technical accuracy. You need a good range of ideas, well told, consistent argument. So when you are doing that, make sure that you are setting your argument out, but bring in the counter argument as well. Give both sides to the coin, but really do, when you get back to your conclusion, stick to your argument as well. So it's clear and consistent, but it's not biased. You have actually thought about the other side of the argument. It shows good planning and good development of ideas, and then you can really focus before you start writing on what kind of language features you need to get in. And as we said before, an effective opening and ending, clear use of a forest or fat horse for persuasive writing, some complex spellings, linking your paragraphs with a variety of sentence lengths and a variety of punctuation. If you can do all of those skills, you should get a good, clear and relevant response, and possibly even a compelling and convincing argument. And that way you will pass this paper.